Nice. I can't help but snap my fingers with my free hand. As someone who has never even won a consolation prize, to be able to get a beverage I wanted is simply exciting. Furthermore, the most important thing is that I only spent 5 yuan. Otherwise, I'll definitely hit it trying it 10 times in a row. I need to keep this bottle well. I put away my phone, open the can, and take a mouthful of the beverage. In the next second, my head suddenly turns a little numb. I feel like everything around me has become abnormally blurry, and my entire body becomes light as though I'm about to turn into a feather. In this strange feeling, I vaguely hear muffled ravings that sound like fingernails scratching a blackboard. The taste of a demoness ain't bad. The taste of a demoness ain't bad. The taste of a demoness ain't bad. This brings an indescribable pain, and I lose all my ability to think. By the time the torture ends, I can't remember what happened towards the end, but I know that my face must have been very twisted and hideous. FCK. What the hell is this beverage? I turn angrily to look at the vending machine. At that moment my head is spinning and my eyes swell. I have the feeling that I'll collapse at any moment. However, this doesn't stop me from discovering a fact. The vending machine that still existed moments ago has disappeared. Holy SHT, I can't take my spinning head and the soreness in my eye. I quickly remove my glasses and prepare to squeeze my nose bridge. However, just as I take off my glasses, everything returns to normal. My head doesn't spin and my eyes no longer ache. My vision remains clear, clearer than even before my myopia. One scan my surroundings, and every detail is reflected in my eye. Even a dozen meters away, a mosquito silently suspended on a black stone is vividly clear. I've recovered from my short-sightedness. That bout of fainting was because of the glasses. I glance around once more, and for some reason, I feel that my vision has exceeded that of a normal person. As I try hard to recall, I gradually come to a realization. I can change part of my body's structure for a short amount of time. I can't obtain feather-like lightness. Even if I jump from high above, I won't be hurt. A hawk-like vision that allows me to see through the darkness. I'm good at hiding in the shadows. My steps are nimble and my body is agile. The instantaneous strength I can release is tremendous. I can concentrate all my strength into a single strike as I suspect that the assassin beverage that I had just taken was actually some mental drug that gives me hallucinations. I also feel that something might have really happened due to my recovery from short-sightedness. I put on my glasses again and realize that it does leave me faint. No way this is real. The vending machine is gone. It was still there a moment ago. Did I have a fortuitous encounter? I cast my gaze out of the lobby and see people carrying umbrellas or have their backpacks raised in the heavy rain, running about in a hurry. Before this, I could only barely see silhouettes in this scene, but now I can confirm the features of every pedestrian. Of course, the prerequisite is that they aren't wearing face masks. A fortuitous encounter. Don't tell me it's really a fortuitous encounter. I would occasionally fantasize about having a fortuitous encounter, for example, striking lottery worth 10-20 million yuan, but I never expected such a day. Moreover, it's the assassinability that I wanted the most. Even if it's fake, just healing my short-sightedness makes me give this fortuitous encounter full marks. I control my excitement and joy and carefully examine my body. After confirming that there's nothing wrong with it, I close my eyes and mutter to myself, "Thank you, God. Thank you, vending machine. Thank you, loot box." I have to find a place to test the leap of faith. I've recovered from my cold too. I'll think further about it after the rain stops. I look around again, eager to test what it means to have dexterous steps, agility, and explosive power. Of course, as a normal person with regular intelligence, I know that I should avoid others in times like this, lest I expose my fortuitous encounter and create a series of unknown developments. At this moment, due to the heavy rain, the people inside the building either have to work overtime or have already left. Those without umbrellas either have realized the reality of things or haven't left the office. They either return to the office or bravely run to the bus stop. Therefore, other than the 2 security guards who have their backs to me, there's no one else in the lobby. I can give it a try. Yes, there's a dog hat, so what if I'm seen by a dog? It doesn't understand anything. Would it be able to tell anyone? I immediately widen my pace and run toward the elevator. I can feel the changes in my body. Using a machine as an analogy, my body used to be a rusted machine that had been soaked in water. Now it was a new, lubricated machine. A few steps later, I suddenly remember something. Previously, several companies in the building had been a victim of theft. Through the surveillance cameras, the police found the criminal. In other words, there are surveillance cameras in the lobby, and my every move is being monitored. Bear with it, bear with it. I stop my attempts and turn back to look at the spots where there might be cameras. My gaze sweeps across the huge, golden retriever at the door. It's still impassively looking at the rain outside. I'll wait till I get home. I let out a slow sigh, hold my glasses, and head for the elevator. I heard from my gossiping colleagues at the company that the theft was done by a young, rag-and-bone man from nearby. In the past, this guy was the son of a rich man. Later on, his family waned, and he could only make a living being a rag-and-bone man. However, the police never found him. I take the elevator and go back to the 10th floor. My mind is filled with how to be an assassin hiding in the city's shadow. Only nothing is true, everything is permitted. I mutter a few slogans and exit the elevator. Glancing around, I see a figure standing by the window at the elevator lobby. He has rare, long silver hair. His features are very distinctive. So I recognize him. He's the vice president of the company next door, whose surname is Wu. Of course, this might only be his Chinese surname, because he's either a foreigner or a mixed blood. It's such a pity that this guy isn't an idol. He's so good-looking that even the girls in our company often try to, coincidentally, bump into him. They give him flowers and food. It's like he has everything easy in the game of life. The boss next door really has bad taste. With such an employee, I'd have long changed to running an entertainment company. I don't know what the company next door is busy with every day. Until today, I don't even know what they do. All of them are garrulous, completely unlike Rosin when she's joking. They're probably doing multi-level marketing, right? I quickly retract my gaze and not greet him. After all, we're not familiar with each other. But just at this moment, I see that guy turn around and walk over. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be nervous if the vice president from next door came to me. After all, I'm not under his jurisdiction. And I'm not a girl either. My sexual orientation is very normal. No matter how good he looks, it has nothing to do with me. I'm even a little jealous. But now, I've just drunk a bottle of some strange beverage of unknown origins and obtained the abilities of an assassin I've been dreaming of. No matter who comes near me, I can't help but feel uneasy, afraid that others might discover my secret. At this moment, the silver-haired guy stops in front of me and says coldly, "Do you have a lighter?" This isn't an attitude a person should have when asking someone for help. Why are you looking at someone like you're looking at an object? Also, the greatest hobby of youngsters nowadays is to stay up late instead of smoking. Why would I bring a lighter with me? No. I shake my head. At the same time, I sigh inwardly. If the female colleagues in my company find out that the handsome vice president next door smokes, they would definitely have their fantasies crushed. This vice president's appearance and temperament easily makes one believe he's some untainted immortal. It's impossible to associate him with vices like smoking. With this in mind, I can't help but ask casually, "Smoking?" The vice president, who has long silver hair and a beautiful face, raises his right hand, revealing a cigarette between his fingers. "People are under the impression that you don't smoke," I reply with a smile. As a slave of society, it's normal for me not to be afraid of the vice president of the company next door. However, ensuring a cordial relationship is almost definite. After all, one has no idea when they will need to job hop and become their subordinate. Having one more friend means one more outlet. Of course, if this gentleman keeps staying in the company next door, then I won't consider such matter. I don't want to enter a weirdo company that just yells slogans 800 times a day. However, if they're willing to pay me a salary of more than 30,000 yuan a month, I dare say that I'll jump ship today. This is the business world, and the first principle is to not go against money. Anyway, as long as I don't violate the law and do not commit crimes, what's wrong with shouting slogans? If I get paid 100 yuan with every shout, I can shout until I make the company go bankrupt. Hearing my words, the vice president seems to fall silent for a moment before saying, "A friend of mine taught me. When it comes to vices like smoking, who doesn't get introduced to it by friends? Only a small number of parents will lead their children astray." Just as I lampoon inwardly, the vice president next door says in fluent Mandarin, "He's been dead for many years." Team sorry, I respond reflexively. After that, I find it strange. Why are you telling me this? This vice president doesn't look too smart. Since we aren't familiar with each other, I exchange a few pleasantries and stop. I'm too lazy to bother. I point to the corridor leading to my workplace. I have matters to tend to. The vice president nods without any change in expression. He turns around and walks back to the window by the elevator lobby, as if he's watching the rainy scene below. I leave the elevator lobby and take a right turn into my workplace and head to the office where my department is located. They're all gone. They took all the umbrellas. I switch on the lights and scan the room. That's right. It hadn't rained when clocking off at regular hours. I left 10 minutes later and happened to be caught in the rain. Seeing that there was no one in the office, my thoughts became active. I originally thought of watching videos in the office, checking out the young ladies dancing indoors, and finding inspiration from live eating broadcasts to figure out what to eat for dinner. But now I'm very restless, and I want to test out the various abilities of an assassin. Among them, the thing that attracts me the most is leap of faith. No, feather drop spell. No, that's not right either. Who knows what it's called? In short, it's the ability to temporarily change my body structure and land on the ground like a light feather. This is undoubtedly the most surreal ability of assassin. Of course, it is also equally important to me that I've had my short-sightedness cured and gained excellent vision. I have to give it a try. I slip my glasses into my pocket and dash to the side window of the big office. It faces a small alley. There's a refuse room that's erected there, and no one usually walks past it, let alone when it's heavily raining now. 10 stories an empty alley. It's the best place to test the leap of faith. I open the window and cast my gaze down. There are no signs of any pedestrians in the heavy rain. The roads are bleak and gloomy. It's dark everywhere. The refuse room looks like a small hand could cover it from the 10th floor. Forget it. It's better to find somewhere lower for the first test. Just as I reveal an embarrassed and polite smile, I hear a voice behind me. What are you doing? T4, startled, I turn quickly. Then I see my boss. He had walked into the large office with one hand in his pocket at some point in time. He's looking at me. Mr. Huang, I'm checking to see if the rain has stopped. I quickly think of one reason. My president's surname is Huang with the first name Tao, a very handsome, fashionable man. At the same time, he's a strange man who became a father at the age of 18. His daughter has already started college this year. He's only 36 years old and is still swimming through the Gao. He stays on the periphery amidst the embrace of news anchors and actresses. CEO Huang doesn't seem to have any doubts about my reason. He nods and says, "You didn't bring an umbrella. The more you live, the younger you become." Glancing at the president's hair, which had been dyed chestnut, I honestly reply, "Officer, this is what my grandfather found in the ancient castle more than 40 years ago." An outer wall in the room on the second floor collapsed, revealing these items that people couldn't find in the past. One of them was the oil painting. No, not this oil painting. The original oil painting was torn and couldn't be preserved. So my grandfather found someone to make a copy of the painting. The one you saw just now, I didn't lie to you. An oil painting from 40 years ago could really be considered as an antique. Are you sure that this is the portrait of the first Baron Lama? Klein stroked the trigger and made sure the man's gaze didn't move an inch. The blond man chuckled and said, "I'm not sure, but I'm guessing so." Reason? Klein nearly laughed at the man's shamelessness. Because there wasn't any labels on the oil painting, the blond man replied seriously for once. Just like I'm called the scoundrel Gray, my father is called the curly-haired Gray, and only my grandfather was the real Gray. Klein exhaled silently and asked, "Where's your grandfather?" "In the cemetery. He's been buried there for almost 2 decades. Next to him is my father, who was buried 3 years back," the blond man answered honestly. After Klein asked a few questions from different angles, he adjusted the cylinder in front of the blond man and put it back into his armpit holster. He put away his police identification and turned around in his black windbreaker before walking towards the motel with his hands stuffed into his pockets. He walked quietly along the street underneath the dim light that was shining out from the houses that lined both sides of the street. I can't confirm if the portrait is that of the first Baron Lamud. I wonder, don't have such a habit. CEO Wang lifts his hand and strokes his chin. Have a few spare umbrellas in my office. Come over and take one. You prepared so many. I ask in a respectful tone. After all, he's the one paying my salary, and it's quite sizable. CEO Huang smiles and says, it's from the few ladies from before. As you know, they always like to bring umbrellas with them. You've extended the battlefield of your flings to the office. Didn't you say that the thing you're afraid of the most is letting your daughter know about this? Doesn't your daughter visit your office every week? I'm first left surprised before nodding. All right. CEO Huang doesn't say anything else as he turns and walks towards the door. The way he's standing and how his body is posed gives me a strange feeling. I believe that if I were to seize this opportunity and unleash my full strength, I'll definitely be able to backstab. Is this an assassin's instinct? Just as I have this thought, I see CEO Huang stop in his tracks and turn his head back. Did he sense my ill intent? My body stiffens. CEO Huang seems to be deep in thought as he slowly asks, how's your accent? Passable, I mutter carelessly. CEO Huang nods. Help me pick up a VIP at the airport tomorrow morning. I'll get old AI to send you the detail. Okay. I don't dare to say no. After agreeing, I ask, Mr. Huang, the VIP is a foreigner. Yes. CEO Huang gives an affirmative reply. At the mention of this topic, I can't help but ask, Mr. Huang, why are there so many foreigners around us? We even have to come up with a foreign name in the company. CEO Huang leans back slightly and says, what is an international metropolitan city? This is it. After borrowing an umbrella from CEO Huang, I decided to immediately leave the company and return to my rented apartment. I plan on testing out my newfound assassin powers in what's considered the safest environment. I live in those old districts that haven't been spruced up. I spend nearly an hour commuting via public transport. The place is filled with old and shabby houses. It's completely different from the high-end buildings found in the new city districts. But living here is more convenient. Besides, the rent is quite cheap. Since I'm clocked off on the dot today, and there wasn't much of a delay during the journey back and forth, it's still not yet 6 o'clock. Even if I settle my dinner near my neighborhood, I'll arrive home before 7 o'clock. It's in line with the habits of a modern person. Therefore, I didn't consider settling my dinner near the office. Instead, I rushed to the bus stop with my umbrella. This umbrella is colorful, and it has rabbit ears on it. It really isn't suitable for a stealthy man like me. I look up and run out the door. One has to bow when under the umbrella after all. By now, the storm has gone on for about 10 minutes, and the ground is beginning to pond. If it were in the past, I would have stepped into a puddle and stained my shoes and pants with dirt and mud. But now my feet are deft, sharp, accurate, and each step is light. I manage to keep my pants and shoes clean in the rain. As expected of an assassin, I glance at the bus stop that's just a few feet away from me. Just as I'm about to cross the non-motor vehicle lane, I suddenly see a man walk past me without an umbrella or raincoat. His hair is already wet under the heavy rain. His clothes cling to his body as they droop down, water streaming down continuously. His image is so pathetic, yet his posture remains so relaxed. He isn't running at all. All he does is keep his hands in his pockets as he strolls forward. Impressive, due to the rain and the dark sky, I'm unable to discern his face clearly. I only watch him walk past me. Perhaps sensing my gaze, the man suddenly takes out a cigarette from his pocket and puts it in his mouth. He mutters softly, "Wimp." Dig my ear with my empty right hand. Who is he talking about? Forget it, I won't argue with a lunatic. I'm in a good mood today. I ignore the man, step up to the bus stop platform, and wait for my bus to arrive. My luck isn't bad. It takes about a minute before bus 35 arrives. Taking out my travel card, I close the umbrella and rush forward. Hearing the beep, I suddenly feel a little emotional. If only the travel card can be stored on my phone's NFC, it would be more convenient. I only need to bring my phone when I'm out. Door locks, the subway, and public buses can all be resolved through my cell phone. If I switch my door lock to a fingerprint one, I don't even need to bring my keys with me. That's what I call convenience. As I think about it, I find a seat. Perhaps due to the heavy rain and that it's some time after peak hour, there are still quite a few empty seats left on the usually crowded bus. Unfortunately, the prerequisite for switching to a fingerprint lock is for me to have my own house. My fantasy is defeated by cold reality. In this international metropolitan city, with my salary, I don't know when I'll be able to afford a house if I don't get help from my parents. I can't help but wonder how to use the powers of an assassin to make money. Take on assassin missions. No, it's illegal. Although I'm a real powerful assassin now, I can't beat bullets. Besides, I don't know where to take on such missions either. It's against the law to break into houses and steal. Besides, other people don't have their money dropping from trees, unless I can lock onto a corrupt official. I have agile footwork, nimble limbs, and eagle-like vision. How do I earn money with these? Be a security guard. But how much can a security guard earn every month? Or try dancing. With this kind of control over the body, my dancing will definitely be very impressive. Then I can do a live broadcast. However, I'm tone deaf. As I think through the possibilities, I suddenly feel a little depressed. It wasn't easy for a miracle to fall from the sky, yet I can't use it to improve my life or earn lots of money with it. It cured my short-sightedness at the very least. It's a medical miracle that can't be bought even with millions. I exhale slowly and tell myself not to be too greedy. At this moment, I suddenly feel a chill. It's not from the air conditioning, but a coldness that pierced through my skin. I turn my head and look to the side, only to see that there's no one sitting there. My instincts tell me that there's something invisible there. He's a ghost. I can sense ghosts after becoming an assassin. I first widen my eyes and carefully observe. Then I retract my gaze and pretend not to notice anything. If the ghost realizes that I can see it, I'm doomed. Assassins do not have abilities to deal with ghosts. My body uncontrollably tenses up. I try to act as if nothing had happened, but I'm helpless. The chilly feeling grows stronger, as if it's getting closer and closer to me. I look straight, but a vision appears in my mind. A blurry man with a bluish-black face draws nearer and nearer to me. He leans to my ear and blows his breath on my face to test my reaction. This cold lasts for nearly a minute before it gradually weakens. Before long, the bus stops and the two doors open at the same time. The cold and terrifying aura disappears. The ghost reaches its stop. Even ghosts use buses to travel. Amazing. I relax and have a better understanding of the changes in my body. I'm not surprised that there are ghosts because I have become an assassin. Everything is possible. The bus stops along the way, and I arrived at Anking North Road 50 minutes later. My rental apartment is nearby. Since the storm has stopped, I don't use the umbrella. I get off the bus and go straight for the place I had planned on eating while on the bus. Usual stir-fry. There are many old shops in this old district that serve delicious food at cheap prices. This is one of them. If it weren't for the rain earlier, many tables would be set up outside. Inside the store, I casually glance around. I smile as I walk to the table and sit opposite a young man. He ordered only a bowl of yuksing shredded pork and white rice. He's looking at his phone while eating with full focus. Not on a date. I rap the table, startling the guy opposite me. He's my childhood friend, Peng Deng. Recently, he's also been working in this international metropolitan city. As I helped him find a place to live, we ended up living very close to each other. It's all in the same neighborhood. Only, how can I have a date when the weather is so bad? Peng Deng looks up at me. He doesn't put down his phone and asks, "Want to play some ranked matches tonight?" Team not free. I have no intention of playing games right now. I just want to try the leap of faith. Peng Deng studies me intently for a few seconds. You have a girlfriend. T hope so too. I turn my head to the boss. One stir-fried sliced beef, one tomato-fried egg soup, and a bottle of Coke. When something good befalls one, celebrations are in order. Upon hearing my reply, Peng Deng lowered his head again. As he looks at his phone, he feeds himself and casually asks, "What else is there after work? Don't you work overtime if something's up?" Good question. I lean the umbrella and seriously think of an excuse. Peng Deng is a typical smartphone zombie who doesn't even focus on eating. Most of his attention is on his cell phone, but he's actually a very sharp person. He's good at capturing details and can always easily see through my lie. Of course, most of those lies were a product of not putting enough thought into it. They're more like jokes. I can't tell him that I'm trying to jump off a building, right? After some thought, I wrap the table. My boss wants me to pick up a foreign guest at the airport tomorrow, and he'll only give me the details at night. I'll have to make some preparation. I need to practice my accent and contact a driver to confirm the schedule. It's plenty of work. Yeah. Peng Deng takes a bite of rice and the meat shreds before swallowing. Then he asks with a smile, the Casanova boss you mentioned before. T never said that. I outright deny Peng Deng's claim. When he looked up at me, I smiled. T said he fooled around. You mustn't make mistakes when passing judgment. Peng Deng replies before looking down at his phone. Before long, the dishes I ordered are served. One is stir-fried sliced beef, and the other is tomato fried egg soup. The oil on the former glistened, and the aroma of celery perfectly fused with the beef's aroma. The meat was very tender, and its juices were salty but not excessive. The sauce was filled with flavors, and with just one plate of this meat, I could finish it with 3 bowls of rice. The tomato fried egg soup is part of Sichuan cuisine. Lard is used first. After it's heated up, beaten eggs with water and salt are added to the mix until it's completely cooked. This way, the fried eggs would be fluffier, and there will be a certain level of saltiness to it. Following that, water and processed tomatoes are put in, along with a few green vegetables. Finally, the soup will have the obvious fragrance of oil and eggs, mixed with the sweet and sourness of tomato. The freshness of the green vegetables make the soup have the delight of a meat soup, but without the cloyed taste at all. Just as I drink a bowl of delicious egg soup, the boss walks over with a bowl of rice and a bottle of cold Coke. TCE cock. I can't help laughing inwardly as I heard his accent. Considering that I have to jump off a building later, it wouldn't be good to eat too much. I ultimately only have 2 bowls of rice. Of course, I definitely wouldn't waste the meat and eggs. At this moment, Peng Deng still has a third of his food left. Don't use your phone while eating. Don't eat while using your phone. I stand up and give him a heartfelt lecture. If the town has the exact historical records of the ancient castle, regardless, the man in the portrait must be a person from the past, at least 1,000 years ago. Besides the hair, he looks almost identical to Mr. Azek. Is this what we call reincarnation? Back when Mr. Azek gave up his position in other universities in Backland and came to Tianjin, perhaps it was driven by instinct. There's another possibility. Such as, the man in the portrait is Mr. Azek, and Mr. Azek is him. Having thought of this, Klein felt a jolt. He nearly stumbled on the steps ahead. He paced back and forth around a damaged gas street lamp and tried to incorporate his knowledge from the world of information overload. According to his earlier guesses, he made a further inference. Mr. Azek might have become immortal due to some reasons, such as being a vampire. Could that be why he survived for so long? That's not right. When has there ever been a bronze-skinned vampire? Plus, when I shook hands with Mr. Azek, I could clearly feel his body temperature and the fresh blood that flows within him. Although he dislikes the heat of the south, he isn't afraid of the sun. He once competed in a rowing competition with other teachers under the hot sun. There's another possibility. Mr. Azek's sequence potion or some other factors bestowed him with a long life, and the price for it is memory loss. Man, taking into consideration his various dreams, can I presume that he loses his memory as part of a cycle? Every few decades, he forgets his past and gains new life. Then his dreams are the lives that he has lived before. I think I've read something like that before in a novel. I can't just rely on divination to verify this. I have to look for the traces of the lives that Mr. Azek lived, traces of him not having a childhood, but at the same time, I boldly pay only for my share. Peng Deng and I aren't hypocritical friends who insist on footing the bill. Furthermore, it's the end of the month. Finances are always a little tight during this time of the month. FCK, you didn't even give me a bottle of Coke. It only took this long before Peng Deng realized it. Team done eating. I pick up the umbrella, leaning against the table. Extravagant. Peng Deng appraises my choice of buying a bottle of Coke. Something good happened to you. Or are you moonlighting? Before he can ask me, his gaze suddenly stops on the umbrella with the rabbit ears in my hand. Hey. He makes a strange sound. My boss lent it to me. You know that he has many girlfriends. I understand what Peng Deng is thinking. How boring. Peng Deng turns his attention back to his phone again. I enter the old compound of my rented apartment after leaving the shop. The tallest building is only 6 stories, so there aren't any elevators. When I pass the entrance to the first floor, I catch a glimpse of the mailbox through the corner of my eye. Some memories churn, making me walk over involuntarily and open the letterbox that belongs to Unit 602. There's a postcard lying quietly inside. Even without looking, I know that she was the one who had sent it. She was a middle school classmate and high school classmate with me and Peng Deng. She later went overseas for studies and is currently working in this city. Her family background is good, and she often travels. From time to time, she'll send local specialties or postcards to friends in the same city. I hesitate for 2 seconds before picking up the postcard. The back is indeed familiar as graceful handwriting is plastered across it. This is the famous Sedlec ossuary around here. I flip the postcard and take a look. The pillars and walls that are lined with skulls make me feel horrified. Then I feel that strange sense of holiness. Shaking my head, I put away the postcard and return to Unit 602. This is an old apartment with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. It has a history of at least 20 years. I live in a guest room, and a young couple lives in the master bedroom. This couple are nice people. Not only do they have a sense of hygiene, but they often cook by themselves and invite me to eat together. The only problem is that they quarrel at least twice a week. It's quite annoying. I plan to move to stay with Peng Deng when the rental contract is over. Of course, the prerequisite is that he hasn't started living with his girlfriend yet. After putting down the umbrella, I go to the window of the guest room. I peek out and look outside, considering whether I should jump. Although the rain has stopped, the sky is already dark and there aren't many pedestrians. 6th floor, forget it. PLL go to the building with the small supermarket. I think it's better to be safe for the first time. It's only 3 stories. This neighborhood is very old, and it has a large population. Hence, there are plenty of stores on the 1st floor. There are hairdressers, eateries, as well as grocery stores and repair shops. One doesn't even need to leave the compound to have access to these amenities. I change into black clothes as a protective color and take my keys and phone. I arrive at a small supermarket after circling the compound for a while. I go up the stairs to the rooftop. Looking at the height, I finally feel confident. When I headed downstairs just now, I tried to jump from one flight of stairs to the other. It greatly improved my confidence in the leap of faith. Waiting until there's no one below me, I take a deep breath, climb over the railing fence, and pose in a ready stance. It's raining and the road is very slippery. How about next time? If I fall and get sent to the hospital, I'll die a societal death if everyone misunderstands this as me attempting suicide. It's only 3 stories. There was nothing wrong with the feeling I had just now. After some random thought, I raise my middle finger at myself and exhale slowly. With a tremble, I leap up and adjust my body. The speed I descend at is slower than normal. The wind turns into a blanket, holding me up in silence. This kind of slowness is only relative. I still quickly land on the ground steadily, without wobbling or splashing up the muddy water on the ground. At that moment, I feel like a sharp feather. What a marvelous feeling. 10 points. I praise myself. This is really too exciting. I'm a true blue assassin who has surpassed all mortals. Heart blazing, I dash back to the building where my rented apartment is. I can't wait to test the leap of faith from the 6th floor. The experience just now tells me that 6 floors isn't a problem. If it's any higher, I'll have to be like Jackie Chan, finding items in the middle like an air conditioner to break my fall, jumping down several floors at a time. On the way, I widen my eyes in an attempt to find any acts of sexual misconduct by hooligans, robberies by ruffians, or extortions by bandits. I want to let them have a taste of the power of an assassin, but sigh, the security in the neighborhood is really good. I sigh and head home. At this moment, my phone rings twice. I take it out and discover that it's from my company's old AI. It's the information regarding our VIP. Zarathustra, what a complicated name. I smirk and decide on reading the details after another leap of faith. So even if I'm an extraordinary assassin, I still have to work on stuff my boss instructs me to do after work like, as the Japanese put it, a shachiku, a corporate cattle. Otherwise, I won't be able to survive. What can an assassin do? Buy a Spider-Man's mask and do a parkour live stream session, without being in a rush to enter the bedroom. I once again think about how to make money using my assassin ability. At this moment, someone knocks on the door. Who is it? I ask loudly. TM here to check on temporary living permits. Someone outside replies. I don't have it, goodbye. I lampoon as I walk to the door and look outside through the peephole. Only 2 people in police uniforms stand outside the door, with one of them standing in front, blocking the face of the other. He has a receding hairline, and his eyes are slightly gray. For some reason, I suddenly quiver and feel inexplicably sad. I open the door. My surname is Deng, and I'm the officer in charge of this compound. The gray-eyed officer introduces himself with a smile. Then he looks at the information in his hand. Joe Mingri, am I right? Yes. For some reason, I'm restrained and a little sad. It's almost indescribable. It's as if someone had punched my nose. My eyes are sore and I'm about to cry. I can understand the restraint. Apart from a few people, most ordinary people would definitely be rather cautious when facing the police. I'm no exception. But why do I have the sudden urge to cry? These emotional changes and fluctuation are beyond my expectation. From what I know, such a situation wouldn't even happen to an extremely sensitive artistic youth. Could this be the side effects of the assassin potion? Is this the price for obtaining superpower? I blink and control my emotion. Then I hear Officer Ding say, "Your temporary living permit." Before he can finish, another officer whispers, "Captain, it's called a residence permit now." You forgot again? Yes, yes, yes. I forgot. Officer Ding wasn't embarrassed at all. He smiled and said to me, "Where's your residence permit?" T didn't apply for it. I didn't lie, nor do I wish to lie. This won't do. Officer Ding shook his head. Although we won't do anything to you because you don't have a residence permit, this is still rather important. Before you become a permanent resident here, if your child wants to study in a public kindergarten here, a residence permit is required. T don't even have a girlfriend. I smirk forcefully but politely again. Needless to say, I don't have children. Even for you as an individual, a residence permit is very important. As you know, it's very difficult to settle down in our city. Apart from special talents that we let in or people who take different paths, your residence permit, under normal circumstances, needs a few years. Anyway, it's a few years before you're qualified to apply for settlement. This is as important as paying for Social Security. Officer Deng added. This makes me feel the concern of an elder. I don't argue with him and nod. Yes, I'll get it done this week. Officer Deng smiled and said, opposite to your compound is a police station that can help you in the residential application. He then looks at me. By the way, in the past 2 to 3 months, an illegal religion has been illegally proselytizing in the city. They also use the classic multi-level marketing techniques. They use more modern terms like a fully automatic wishing machine to entice ordinary people to walk the path of evil. If you encounter them, make sure to be careful and remember to report it to us. Fully automatic wishing machine. My heart skips a beat at the mention of it. It sounds very similar to a vending machine. However, no one tried to proselytize to me back then. Okay. I don't dare to show any hesitation. I think for a second before answering. Thank you for your cooperation. Officer Deng doesn't say anything else as he smiles and puts away the tiny notebook in his hand. Just as he turns around halfway, he suddenly stops. By the way, I forgot something. For some reason, my eyes blur upon hearing that. It's a joint tenancy, right? Who's living in the other room? Officer Deng asks in a mellow voice. I close my eyes and calm my fluctuating emotions. TT's a couple. A lady with the surname Ja and her overseas boyfriend. TC. Officer Deng nods. Remember to remind them to register their residence. All right. I watch as Officer Deng turns around. Only then do I see the officer standing behind him. His black hair and green eyes make him look like a celebrity. Green eyes. He's mixed blood. Or is he wearing colored contacts? I mumble inwardly. The green-eyed officer looks at me for a few seconds before suddenly smiling. That evil cult's means are more secretive than you can imagine. It's very hard to defend against them. At times, you won't need to pay any price to benefit from them, but believe me, you will definitely suffer immensely in the future. My heart palpitates when I hear this fellow. I recall the assassin potion and the leap of faith I obtained. I got it for 5 yuan. Could it really be that cult? What do they want from me after giving me superpowers? T understand. I'll make a report. I try hard not to show my fear as I reply to the green-eyed police officer. After sending them off, I return to the cramped guest room and sit down on the bed. I face the computer desk as I contemplate over what happened today. It doesn't make much sense. If that vending machine really was created by that cult, there's no need for them to hide. If they give every believer a bottle like the assassin beverage, then they can rule the world. Perhaps there are restrictions, but an organization that can obtain superpowers is definitely not simple. It's not something the likes of ordinary cults can achieve. But what's the point of giving me superpowers? To get a fighter? It's not like I'd go. If they dare to look for me, I'll dare to call the police. Money? I'm just from an ordinary family in a small city. Although my family has a place to stay, in order to provide for my other two siblings, my parents haven't managed to save up much money. It wasn't until Benson and I started working that our family situation improved slightly. After some thought, I pick up my phone and tap open WeChat. I find my brother, Benson Joe, who works as a civil servant. B, did you offend anyone recently? I send a message. B is the nickname I gave Benson. It stems from the B in his name since he's balding. Who can I offend? Very quickly, Benson replies. I'm just a puny civil servant. I work cautiously every day, and I'm not a politician. I don't even serve the public at a window. Who can I offend? Before I can respond, he sends another message. What's wrong? What happened? T encountered something that I suspect to be fraud, but I don't have anything worth being scammed of, I reason. Benson replies one line at a time. No matter how poor a person is, there's still value in scamming them. Who doesn't have any friends or family? If you don't have money, can't you borrow it? Borrow from the people around you or on the internet. Get all kinds of microloans, and that adds up to a huge sum. Besides, you still have your body. Can't you sell your kidney, cornea, and blood? Besides, there are many female clubs nowadays. Who knows which customer would like your type? WTF, stop scaring me. After sending this text, I quickly add, thankfully I didn't take the hit. I don't want Benson to worry about my drinking of the assassin beverage. I have to be careful. I need to immediately make a report to the police for any abnormalities around me. After chatting for a while, Benson reminds me, anyway, don't be greedy. Also, Sasa will be here before school, starting directly as an adult. Klein started leaning towards his latter guess. However, he temporarily couldn't eliminate the possibility of reincarnation. He reined in his chaotic thoughts and considered carefully whether he should inform Captain Dunn about it. If Mr. Azek was a Beyonder that lived for 1,000 years, his ability would be much stronger than I imagined. He advised me out of kindness. However, it would be hard to say if he will remain kind when I find clues about his past. But Mr. Azek has been nice to me all this time. To involve the Nighthawks would result in a non-trivial possibility of harming him, sigh. It looks like I must divine this matter in the world above the gray fog. This is the most proper choice for a seer. Klein made the decision and returned to the hotel quickly. Since Dunn and Fry had yet to return, he seized the opportunity to get another room at the cost of one solely. After he entered the room, Klein made a spirituality wall with the assistance of holy night powder. Then he took 4 steps counterclockwise, went through the mad ravings, and arrived above the gray fog. The lofty palace stood tall and silent, while the ancient, mottled bronze table and 22 high chairs remained the same. Klein took the seat of honor and made a brown goatskin and black fountain pen appear before him. He picked up the pen and wrote seriously, I should tell Dunn Smith about Mr. Azek. Then he took the topaz pendant from his left sleeve and did a spirit pendulum divination. Starts. Remember to pick her up. Got it. I sent him a popular emoji. It's a monocle-wearing emoji. After ending the conversation, I lose the urge to continue attempting the leap of faith. I sit by the bed, feeling a little frightened and worried. After a while, I subconsciously pick up my phone and look at WeChat and QQ. Among them, one of the QQ group chats has plenty of messages. It was a group that I built because we play horror and mystery games. It's called the Tarot Club, and it's filled with other netizens. I take a quick scan at it and see someone named the Star send a message. Everyone be careful. A mysterious cult has appeared. Cult. My attention is immediately drawn to this word. What has a cult got to do with us? A group member named Judgment asks. Mysterious. How mysterious? A group member named Justice asks. All kinds of messages appear in the group. It's rather overwhelming. I originally created this group when I was playing a horror mystery game. I invited friends who were quite good at the game back then, and such games often contain mysticism-related elements. Therefore, after the game gradually lost its popularity, the group turned into a group that leaned towards discussing mysticism. Of course, in any chat group, daily interactions take up the majority of the content, except for sex-related chat groups. Amongst the members, the lady named Justice is most curious about mysticism. From her daily conversations, I can tell that her family background is quite good, and she isn't too old. I think she's a student. After the group members are done asking, the star types, that cult likes to attack ordinary people, especially those who like mysticism. They will use all sorts of methods to allow you to obtain powers that exceed the limit of mortal. For example, the later it is at night, the more energetic you are. T already have this superpower. A group member, named the Magician, replies excitedly. She's also a girl. I remember her mentioning that she has a sizable income from writing novels on a certain green-colored website, and is considered one of the phenomenal writers there. However, from the way she makes all kinds of suggestive comments when she speaks, perhaps the green-colored website I'm aware of isn't the same website she was talking about. Compared to the day, I prefer the night, says a group member named the Moon. What is this fellow trying to say? Is he like a night owl, or is he hinting at something? I scratch my chin, unable to read the thoughts of the Moon. This fellow has always been like this. If you want to say that he has deep knowledge, he will post links regarding exquisite dolls in the group chat from time to time, asking everyone to help him at some price-slashing site. It's obvious that he's some type of shut-in. But to call him naive and immature, he often says profound things. Whether it's Chinese medicine, Western medicine, or even all kinds of relatively unknown medical knowledge, he gives off impressive vibes with his theories and examples, even if I can hardly understand it. Previously, he had diagnosed that one of our group members, the Hermit, had a rare disease. He successfully helped her recovery from an old ailment of hers, making everyone see him in a different light. The star ignores the Moon and replies to the Magician, "Then can you only sleep 2 hours a day?" "It can, but I can only maintain it for a week. I have to catch up on my sleep after that. Furthermore, my body will feel like it's been run over by a car, with tire tracks on my face the Magician replies. The star continues, "Anyway, the cult will first allow you to obtain Superman-like powers. For example, you can remain extremely energetic despite sleeping for 2 hours every day. You can see all kinds of spirits, jump off tall buildings without suffering any damage, and control flames, etc., etc. T isn't this good?" Justice immediately replies. The Sun, Judgment, and Magician say, "T isn't this good?" 44. I think for a moment, and use my alternate account, the world. For the star sends an emoji. A price is always exacted for what fate bestows. T didn't say that, Luzon, JPG. The Magician replies immediately. I suspect this is a subconscious reflex of hers. Is there really a power that transcends the mortal world? Justice asks. Clearly, she had imagined that the star was joking. Without waiting for the star to respond, the Moon says, "There are too many things in the world that go beyond your imagination." TT doesn't mean they don't exist just because you don't see them. The Sun immediately replies, "There's some mysticism that's real. Stop fooling kids at." A group member named the Hanged Man sends an emoji. That's right. There are still young schooling children. One shouldn't talk about the strange and supernatural to children or make suggestive comment. The Magician echoes in all seriousness. The Sun replies, "I am already in middle school. TM more than 1.9 meters tall." When everyone sees the claim of being 1.9 meters tall, everyone falls silent. After a while, the star sends an emoji. In short, once one is bewitched by the cult and accepts their gift, they will definitely have to pay a huge price after joining them. I heard that some people went mad and got admitted into a mental hospital. Some of them committed suicide in various ways, dying rather hideously. Others transformed. Before he can finish, he suddenly stops. His profile picture indicates he has gone offline. What transformation? I ask with my alt, the world. My main account is the Fool, a mature man worthy of trust. Therefore, I can't ask questions casually. Could the star be held down by those cultists? The Magician gives a very imaginative idea. Haha, how could there be such a thing? I'm talking about a mysterious cult DFFLF next. Judgment is also a girl who always echoes the Magician. After making this joke, the star comes online again and says, FCK, there was a sudden blackout just now. I had no choice but to switch phones. Well, that's all from me. I have to head out. I have matters to tend to. Anyway, there's no such thing as a free lunch, so don't eat it. Don't be bewitched by the cult. By Tilda, as the star goes offline, I suddenly receive private messages. They come from the Hanged Man and the Hermit. Take note. I think the star might be a member of the cyber police. The star might be a policeman. Be careful what you say in the group chat. It's really possible. To actually know about mysterious cults, I immediately reply to the two group members. It's fine. We're not a cult yet. It's not like I'm always the one making suggestive comments. Most importantly, when discussing international and domestic situations, I would stop it in time and send a picture that says, improper discussion about the imperial court is a crime that leads to death. Glancing at the group chat again, I quit QQ and once again start thinking about what I should do. After some thought, I'm still out of solution. It's impossible for me to spit out the assassin beverage, nor can I vomit it out. I can only pretend that I don't know anything and ignore recruitment attempts of any cults. If one meet them, I'll immediately call the police. I force myself to focus on my savings and wallet. At the thought of this, I immediately free myself from my worries and begin to work. This is about being a slave of society. After confirming the flight details, the chauffeur, the hotel arrangements, and the pickup sign, I do a round of oral practice. By the time I'm done with all of that, it's already 10 in the evening. I feel hungry. I guess I'll go down and buy some snacks. I decide not to treat myself shabbily. As soon as I walk out of the guest room, I hear a quarrel from next door. Of course, it's mainly that lady named Jataz, who's shouting at her overseas boyfriend. Don't you get tired of that? Just as I'm about to lampoon, I realize that the quarrel is getting softer and softer. According to my experience, something inappropriate for minors will happen next. Although I'm not a minor, I'm single. After some thought, I return to my room, open the window, and jump onto the windowsill before jumping down with great familiarity. In the wind, my body feels light as if all my worries have been blown away. After landing safely, I heave a sigh of relief. I feel like V completely grasped the power of assassin. The area outside the compound I live in remains lively late into the night. There are a few barbecue stalls, some selling fried rice, some selling stir-fried noodle. Some sell street food like stewed meat, cold vegetables, duck necks, and crayfish. People who pass by will unknowingly sit down or come in front of a stall before sadly putting on a kilogram. Taking into consideration my little tummy, my tummy seems to be missing. Only that tiny tummy I've worked so hard to get from all my meals is gone. This is a change brought about by assassin. I feel surprised once again. This gives me a lot more options besides the snack. I can have barbecue food to celebrate. Forget it. I have to restrain myself. If an assassin is 170 cm tall, but ends up being 100 kilograms, wouldn't my target end breaking out into a laughing fit when they see me? I slowly exhale and decide to go to the 24-hour convenience store. To the left is a Family Mart. To the right is Lawson. It's very unfriendly for an indecisive consumer like me. I heard that Lawson has launched a few new types of ice cream recently. I recall and turn to the right. Just as I enter Lawson, my eyes light up as I see a gorgeous woman. As an international metropolitan city, there are definitely countless beauties dressed fashionably out on the streets. Even if I don't pay attention to them, I would often find women that catch my attention. But even so, this person that's inside Lawson is a rare gem. I can't help but steal another look after seeing her. Her brown-dyed hair cascades down like a waterfall, and two crystal-like accessories hang from her earlobe. Her eyes sparkle, looking as clear and beautiful as the eyes of deers in forests. She has plenty of charisma. Out of courtesy and habitual shyness, I tear my eyes away from the girl and walk past her to the area where the fridge is. During this process, I can't help but turn around to take a few more looks, but I suppress my actions to avoid offending her. Which ice cream should I buy? I gaze at the transparent sliding door of the cool box and fall into deep thought. Recently, the more popular ones are fat crabs, iron cauldron stew, taking into account my successful weight loss and my need to prevent any rebounds, as well as my tight financial situation at the end of the month. I ultimately chose fat crabs. Then I go to the neighboring room to get a bottle of chilled CR and a packet of cucumber-flavored potato chips. All three combined form my supper for the night. If it was the beginning of the month, I definitely would have bought more. I'll keep them at home and eat them when there's a need. I don't have to go downstairs every time, but there's no need to be so carefree with my expenses now. CEO Huang had once said, "Don't let trivialities take up your most important liquidity." Without any hesitation, I take my snacks and walk to the counter to stand in line to settle the bill. At this moment, I suddenly smell a faint fragrance. In the next second, I turn my head and see the gorgeous beauty walk past 2 rows of shelves. She smiles and says with her eyes shimmering, "Can I add you on WeChat?" Me? I arch my arms a little and express my puzzlement in my speech and pose. I've never had girls ask me for my contact details all my life. That's right. The beauty nods happily and says with a smile, "Your looks and temperament matches my taste. I want to get to know you." If she were to praise me for being handsome or good-looking, I definitely wouldn't have believed her. However, it's not impossible that my looks and temperament matches her taste. Maybe she likes my type right. For a moment, I understand what it means to be overwhelmed and flattered. In the next second, I become more wary. Could it be some multi-level marketing scheme? Or some honey trap? The spirit pendulum divination resulted in the pendulum spinning counterclockwise, which meant that he shouldn't tell him. Putting down the topaz pendant, Klein thought about it and decided to make an attempt with dream divination, just to be sure. Thus, he changed his divination statement to, "The result of hiding matters related to Mr. Azek from the Nighthawks." Klein held the goatskin, recited the statement 7 times silently, and leaned backwards to enter a deep sleep. He saw himself in the illusory, blurry, and distant world. He saw that he was struggling while drowning in a sea of blood. Then there was a hand that extended and pulled him up from the blood sea. The owner of the hand was Azek with bronze skin and a small mole near his ear. The image shattered and reorganized. Klein saw that he was in a dark and gloomy emperor's final resting place. The surrounding coffins opened one after another. Azek stood next to him, looking forward as though he was looking for something. Just then Klein exited the dream in an instant and saw the illusory, gray, and boundless fog. The symbolic meaning of the earlier dream is that, if I were to hide the related matters about Mr. Azek, I would receive his assistance when I'm in danger in the future. The danger might have come about because I helped to keep the secret. What does the last scene mean? I will discover some mausoleum with Mr. Azek. Yes, perhaps the mausoleum has other symbolic meanings. Klein clasped his hands together and supported his chin while he interpreted the contents of the dream divination. Combining it with the earlier result of the pendulum divination, he decided to not report his inference to the captain, but merely bring up that a townsfolk had taken out a portrait of the first Baron Lamud, and that the portrait looked like a history teacher in Koi University. Klein couldn't be sure that Dunn wouldn't hear about it elsewhere, so as an aficionado of legal shows, a fan of the legal report of many years, I am instinctively wary of good things falling into my lap. As I hesitate, the eyes of that beautiful woman standing in front of me fogs up. It makes me feel ashamed and guilty. Perhaps it's not some multi-level marketing or honey trap. Even if it is, she's just adding me on WeChat. It won't be a problem if I pay more attention in the future. I think for a moment and hurriedly say, "All right." I turn around and place the bottle of CR on the counter before taking out my phone from my pocket. However, when I look at that girl again, she has already disappeared. It's not as if I can't see her. I can still see instances of her back appearing through the cracks of the shell. What about appreciating my looks and temperament? How did you have a change of heart so quickly? Just as this thought flashes through my mind, I heard a chime. The door of the convenience store opens automatically, and a figure walks in. It's Officer Deng, who had checked on my residence permit in the evening, but he has already changed into casual wear. He walks to the front desk and tugs at the bottom of his black jacket's bottom. He says to the staff, "A cup of coffee." As he speaks, Officer Deng turns to look at me. "Hey, are you footing your bill?" Before he can finish, he pinches his forehead. You are Joe Mingrui, Officer Deng. "We just met this evening," I reply with a smile. At that moment, from the corner of my eye, I catch the woman leaving the convenience store. She gave up striking up a conversation with me and ran off in a hurry because she saw Officer Deng. Is she really involved in multi-level marketing or pulling a honey trap? Feeling regretful and puzzled, I hand over the items in my hand to the shop assistant and say, without minding, "Give Officer Deng his coffee first." The shop assistant spends some time making the coffee before giving it to Officer Deng. He gives me a friendly smile and heads out with the cup in hand. After taking a few steps, he stops and says with a self-deprecating smile, "I forgot to remind you that the cult will use all kinds of means to approach the target. Be careful." Cult. Suddenly, I am aware of a possibility. Could that beauty from before be from that cult? She hit on me because I drank the assassin beverage and became their target. This method really makes it impossible to guard against. They actually used a honey trap. I'm alarmed. With Officer Deng about to turn around and leave the convenience store, I rush forward and say to him, "Just now, a woman wanted to add me on WeChat." Officer Deng doesn't laugh at me. He asks very formally, "What does she look like?" "Very beautiful, more beautiful than many celebrities." I give a simple description and conclude, "I don't think I have the charm to make a beauty hit on me." "Not bad. Many victims only get deceived because they feel that they are very charming," says Officer Deng with a smile. "We will track and investigate this. As for you, you should just try your best. Try not to speak to strangers, as depicted in television drama. Speaking is fine, just don't establish more connection." My heart warms as I nod vigorously. "All right." After seeing Officer Deng leave, I return to the counter to settle the bill. I take the snacks and walk to the entrance of my residential compound. Along the way, after passing the barbecue stall, the strong fragrance inundates my nostrils again. It tempts me to sit down and order a pile of food. I sweep a glance and I see a group of gangsters. They're sitting on simple plastic stools at the barbecue stall, waiting for the food to be cooked. Their hair is dyed in all sorts of colors, and it's obvious that they're punks following the scene subculture. If it were in the past, I definitely would have upped my pace and widened my distance to avoid any unnecessary conflicts. But now I'm looking forward to them, making things difficult for me. I want them to have a good taste of an assassin's prowess. Just then, one of the hoodlums glances at me and stands up abruptly. Holding a stack of paper, he jogs towards me. I'm thrilled and begin to imagine what pose I should put on later. The charred, yellow-eyebrowed hoodlum quickly comes in front of me and says, "Hi there, perhaps you would be interested in dream tutoring classes." Dream tutoring classes. This development is completely different from what I expected. As he speaks, the hoodlum hands a flyer to me. Our dream tutoring classes covers many topics. Even if you're already working, you can learn things from the courses to improve yourselves and even switch career. I blankly receive the flyer and subconsciously ask, "Are you a tutor?" "Yes, I'm a foreign language teacher." The hoodlum smiles arrogantly. "My surname is Duh." Before he can finish his sentence, a few of the hoodlums shout, "Danny, the food is ready. It's time to dig in." The hoodlum in front of me turns around and flips his middle finger before running back. I shake my head in disappointment and wrap my snacks in the flyer before entering my compound and return to my rented apartment building. As this place is old, there are a few lamps along the stairs that are out. Some of the floors are dark. I have to take out my cell phones to turn on the flashlight function before I can see where I'm placing my feet clearly. The surroundings are very quiet. My phone suddenly flashes a few times, turning extremely dim. At the same time, I feel a cold wind blow past me. As the cold wind blows, the flashlight on my phone dims. I shiver and my hair stands on end. To be honest, after becoming an assassin, even if there isn't any light, I can still see the surroundings clearly without worrying about what's on the ground. But there's no conflict between me being able to see in the darkness and my need for a flashlight. Who isn't afraid of the dark? At that moment, my heart beats faster, pounding like a drum. Almost at the same time, I sense someone watching me. The cold wind is the breath of a monster lurking deep in the darkness. Recalling what happened on the bus previously, I pretended not to notice anything amiss and looked down at my phone. It's broken again. I had previously encountered the sudden experience of my phone's flashlight dimming, but I was using a crappy phone. At this moment, the experienced me habitually blamed it on the phone. After checking the phone and making the lights turn on again, I continue forward without anything happening. The eerie wind is still lingering in the corridor. The light flickers in brightness, digging up the fear hidden at the bottom of my heart. As I walk, I seriously consider what powers an assassin has against ghosts. The answer is nothing. Since I have nothing, I don't look forward to slaying evil or dealing with the possible existence of a ghost as if dealing with gangster. 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps. I calmly walk up the flight of stairs and arrive at the top floor. The lights in the building are working fine as they shine down with their yellow light. Everything returns to normal. Following that, the cold gust of wind stops. The light stops flickering. I successfully return to the 6th floor and stop at the entrance of my rented apartment. Phew, there's actually a ghost present here. I have to move out as soon as possible. This thought subconsciously flashes across my mind. I don't feel any shame. This is an instinctual response that anyone can have. However, if I quietly moved away, Jataz and her boyfriend would definitely not know what's happening. They'll continue living here. Who knows whether the devil might pester them. Also, there are 12 units in this building. It's impossible for me to inform every household, right? Also, how do I say it? Ghost. Who would believe me? I hold my key, momentarily held in a difficult spot. Quickly hire a capable Taoist priest or monk to exorcise the ghost. But I don't know any. Before today, I didn't even know that there are supernatural powers in this world. It was all fantasy, yes. The Tarot Club's The Star knows that the mysterious cult provides all kinds of superpowers, which means he has a certain level of understanding in such matters. Will he know a few masters who are good at busting ghosts? Few, I'll give it a try. If there's nothing I can do, I'll make an anonymous call to inform the police. I'll post a flyer that mentions how this place is haunted at every household's door. No, not flyer, a bulletin. I quickly come up with a plan. As for the outcome, I don't have any demands. After all, I don't have any experience in this area. Besides, I should prioritize protecting myself. Opening the door, I enter the room and return to my room. I think for a while before logging onto QQ and entering a private chat with the Star. The Hanged Man and the Hermit suspect that he's a member of cyber police. If I were to directly look for him, he will definitely be able to find my IP address and lock onto my identity. Just as I'm about to type the message, I remember the warning from 2 other members of the Tarot Club. After tinkering for a while, I use a proxy and use my alt the world to say to the Star, 4A, are you there? I have something to ask you. Don't use that emoji. It scares me. Star replies quickly. Why? I ask. The Star says, this emoji has become popular recently. It's very strange. Furthermore, something tragic happened to a family last week. Everyone in that family wore a monocle and died in different places. The only survivor was a girl who went mad from the trauma. She repeatedly tells people not to go near her. He suspects that those who use this emoji will be targeted by an unknown existence. They will automatically put on a monocle and commit suicide or kill each other. Don't scare me yet. I reply, unsure if I should believe him. Haha, it's just a joke. The monocle in this emoji is on a different eye from the tragedy. Furthermore, there are thousands of people using this emoji, which unknown existence can keep an eye on everyone. The Star switches to asking, why are you looking for me? I directly say, my area is haunted. Do you know anyone who's good at ghostbusting? TM very good at that. The Star replies without hesitation. Then wouldn't I be exposed? I quickly send an emoji, and I won't trouble you for the time being. You seem very busy. Do you have anyone else that you could introduce to me? Yes, a lady, a medium. She's skilled in techniques from overseas, but I can guarantee that it's effective. There's another foreigner, a priest. He's also good at setting up exorcism ritual. The Star replies, they're all foreigners. You don't have Taoist priests or monks to introduce. I'm more trusting towards local ones. The Star replies, T only know foreign ones. Okay. Who's better? I had wanted to ask who's cheaper, but considering how someone cheap might not do the job, I don't dare to skimp on that. The Star immediately says, ma'am, duh. TLL give you her QQ number. Add her directly and contact her. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Okay, thank you. I quickly copy the QQ number and paste it into the search box. Mamda's QQ name is Sleeping with Corpses, and adding her requires one to answer a verification question. How old are you? How old? This question is strange. Do I need to use a countersign? I'm puzzled for a moment. I take a screenshot and send it to the Star. What's the answer? The Star replies, just answer that you're an adult. What's the meaning of this? She doesn't entertain underage clients. I'm confused. No, he just wants to determine the extent she can go in the conversation. The star answered simply, and then used an image to supplement it, open to suggestions, ready to be suggested. See, for some reason, I'm at a loss on how to respond. I fill up the verification according to the star's answer and fill in adult. That doesn't seem online. I didn't get added even after a few minutes. After thanking the star, I use snacks to console myself. After eating and drinking, I head to the bathroom outside to wash up and prepare to head to bed. Mamda still hasn't added me. I switch on the bathroom light and turn on the tap. I reach for the towel. Turning around, I suddenly see a figure in the mirror. That figure is blurry. Vaguely, I see it wearing a small hat. It's a woman in a black dress. Clearly, this isn't my projection. It can't be Jataz, who wears pajamas as home. Instantly, my mind explodes and I hurriedly retreat. Don't be afraid, the woman in the mirror says in an ethereal voice. Someone hired me to protect you. Who? I ask subconsciously. The figure in the mirror replies calmly, a detective named Sherlock Moriarty. He had to at least mention it. Of course, Dunn was unfamiliar with Azek and didn't know of his recount and strange dreams, so he would find it difficult to connect. Klein even suspected that the captain wouldn't quite remember what Azek looked like. Then he stopped thinking further and planned to leave the world above the gray fog. Just then, he noticed the crimson star that had been silent all this time was twinkling with faint light again. Klein extended his spirituality with interest and saw the young man that spoke Jotun again. He saw him kneeling before a pure crystal ball. The young man was still wearing the black tights that were different from the clothing of countries in the northern continent. His facial features were blurry and distorted, but Klein could faintly see his brownish-yellow hair. He knelt there and prayed with an unusual pain in his tone. Klein leaned sideways to hear. He relied on his beginner-level Jotun and barely understood what the young man was saying. O magnificent deity, please cast your eyes on this land that you have forsaken. O magnificent deity, please allow us, the people of the dark, be freed from the curse of our destiny. I am willing to dedicate my life to you, using my blood to please you. A land that was forsaken, people of the dark, magnificent deity, Klein murmured the few key words and suddenly thought of a place that the hanged man had mentioned once. The forsaken land of the gods. 10 Sherlock Moriarty. Sounds like a foreigner. Moriarty seems to be the professor in Holmes. Sherlock seems to be Holmes's first name. This detective is using a fake name, right? It has a style reminiscent of coming up with a name when creating a game avatar. Perhaps he isn't a foreigner. I sense something from the ghost in the mirror and ask after some thought. Who is he? Why does he want to protect me? At this moment, due to the other party's ability to communicate, my sense of fear has been greatly reduced. I've become an assassin. Isn't it normal for ghosts to exist in this world? It isn't hard to accept something that goes against common sense. Besides, it's not like I didn't sense something on the bus on the way home. The blurry woman wearing a petite bonnet in the mirror replies in a flat voice, someone wants to harm you. She didn't tell me who Sherlock Moriarty is. Why does he want to protect me? It looks like it's a secret. What is it that can't be said? Many thoughts flash through my mind. Suddenly, I think of a possibility and blurt out, that cult wants to harm me. Sherlock Moriarty is their archenemy. That makes sense. Otherwise, I wouldn't believe that someone would send a female ghost to protect me for no reason, unless it's the police who serve the people. Female ghost in the mirror falls silent for 2 seconds before nodding indiscernibly. You can put it that way. At that moment, I feel a subtle change in her eyes, but I can't decipher what emotions are contained within them. Under normal circumstances, a person without any training would more or less reveal their emotions in their eyes. This would help me understand their attitude. But the entity right in front of me is a ghost. More importantly, the things that can be discerned through the eyes most of the time are the more intense fluctuations in emotions or unconcealed emotion. Not only is the female ghost in the mirror blurry, but she also has a mosaic over her. Furthermore, her emotions are very mild, almost as though she's emotionless. After pondering for a moment, I probe, which people around me are from the evil cult. The female ghost in a black dress opens her mouth. Her voice becomes increasingly ethereal as it turns weaker and weaker. Following that, a fine layer of snow appears on the surface of the mirror, just like an old television that has its reception hampered. Female ghost vanishes amidst the static. This what happened. I'm not afraid of ghosts anymore, so why did the ghost disappear instead? Did something happen again? I turn wary and look around, but everything's normal. When I look back, the mirror has returned to its original state, reflecting my fearful and blank face. Splash! The water from the tap gushes out incessantly. Unconsciously, I grab my wet towel and wash my face. Nothing has changed. At the same time, I don't sense anything unusual. Yes, no matter what, I still have to brush my teeth. I force myself to stay calm. Since things are already like this, what's there to worry about? After brushing my teeth and wiping my mouth, I return to my room. The moment I enter, I feel an indescribable feeling. My eyes are drawn to my cell phone, which I have set on the computer table. It seems to be the source of all the abnormality. Instinctively, I charge over, wanting to hurl the phone out of the window so it's far away from me. However, it's very expensive. I changed it not too long ago. I don't know if there's something wrong with it. I'm already an assassin, and there's the female ghost protecting me. What's there to be afraid of? I console myself, walk over, pick up my phone, and plaster my fingerprint on it. After unlocking the screen, the first thing I see is a message. Sleeping with corpses has added you. In the next second, my cell phone darkens suddenly, and the lights around me seem to be attracted by this bottomless pit. They are all thrown into the pitch-black darkness. Before I can react, the faint light on my phone ripples, revealing a translucent face that's without any eyes, nose, or mouth. There's a ghost in your room. The mouth of the face opens and closes, revealing a long and bright red tongue. There are 5 slender fingers at the tip of the tongue, and embedded on the 2 sides are rows of irregular sharp teeth. Don't tell me you're not one too. I have the urge to give such a reply, but I hold myself back. Recalling the message I just read, I ask with a slightly trembling voice, "Ma'am, duh." Impressive. She really is psychic and can control ghosts. Yes, V already made some initial restrictions via the messenger. That ghost won't affect you tonight, and I won't have the chance to suck you dry. The translucent wobbles shook. I'll come personally tomorrow morning to deal with it. Give me the address. Tomorrow morning. I have work to do. I am thrown into a dilemma. CEO Huang wants me to pick up the VIP at the airport. If I stand him up, I will lose my job. Work. Is your boss beautiful? Madame De asks through the translucent face. He's a guy, I point out the truth. You like men? Madame De asks without pause. How is that possible? I deny it, amused and exasperated. Since that's not the case, why are you still in the mood for work even though you're haunted by ghosts? Or perhaps you have a female colleague that you have a crush on. You can't skip a day of seeing her. Madame De scoffs. Can it be because I'm poor? If I don't work, who will take care of me? I have a nagging feeling that I'm being led astray by Madame De. The conversation is filled with logical error. Although I have some savings, it's not a lot, and I have to pay for the exorcism. Of course, I'm in the mood to work, because the female ghost hasn't shown any malice. Madame De's translucent face opens its mouth and says, "What about your family?" They aren't well off, I answer frankly. How are your looks? Madame De asks another strange question. Average. I feel lost. Height. A little over 1.7 meters. Strong. Ordinary. How big? Huh? How big is that thing of yours? Hey. TD's like this. I can introduce you to some part-time work. The other party consists of rich and idle mature ladies. They value young people very much. They're willing to provide the necessary help and become friends with mutual benefits. Do you want to consider them? The translucent face rambles on. Auntie, am I just going to give up on my hard work? I roughly understand what the other party was talking about. As long as you understand. The translucent, terrifying face lets out a suspicious laugh. T don't plan on doing so, I say without hesitation. I have my integrity. Madame De doesn't bother with the topic and instead says, then, when will you get off work tomorrow? Let's schedule an appointment. 9 in the evening. I include the possibility of working overtime. All right, give me the address. PLL contact you on QQ when the time comes. Madame De's translucent face yawned. This lady's extraordinary performance has exceeded the limits of my knowledge, so I no longer have any doubts about her ability. I immediately give her an address and ask, "AA, how much will it cost?" The basic cost is 20,000 yuan. Price can go higher depending on the difficulty. If you can't afford it, you can consider the part-time job. Madame De is rather direct. I recall my savings and feel a wave of pain. What's the maximum it can go? Why don't I just forget it? Besides, the female ghost doesn't seem to have any ill intention. The highest it can go is 50,000 yuan, Madame De calmly says. 50,000. Only 50,000. I'm surprised. The translucent face snorts. TLL give up missions that exceed 50,000. Money is nice, but I need to be alive to spend it. Okay. I see myself on the brink of bankruptcy. By the way, I'll give you a document. You can download it and read about how to get along with ghosts. The translucent face slowly slides back into the phone. Then I see Sleeping with Corpses send me a BitTorrent seed. I open it and realize that there are a few videos in it. They're quite large in size and are named 1, 2, and 3. Only due to the seriousness of the matter, I don't hesitate and turn on my computer to download. While I initiate the download, I start playing games to pass time. After a while, the download completes. I open the video file named 1. In just a few seconds, a title appears in front of me, a Chinese ghost story. LS on the glass window, a blurry female ghost wearing a long black dress appears. She holds her cheek with one hand and quietly stares at the computer screen. 11. Mamda really has a sense of humor. It's a good thing that my broadband company doesn't charge based on data usage. I control the twitch in the corner of my lips and turn to look out the window. She's here again, a female ghost watching a Chinese ghost story. It feels weird since she doesn't show any malice and had pointed out the problem of the cult. While I lack the ability to fend off ghosts, assassins aren't capable of doing such things. I ask after some consideration, do you want to continue watching? I watched this movie a long time ago. There's no need for me to rewatch it. Besides, I still have to go to the airport to pick up the VIP tomorrow. I can't stay up all night. If I'm late or something goes wrong, I'll definitely have my salary deducted or maybe even get fired. Thankfully, I haven't taken any housing loans or bought things on credit. I don't have any credit card payments and promissory notes to pay. Otherwise, I would have rejected Madame De just now and looked for someone cheaper. The female ghost on the glass window turns her head and looks at me. Will it affect your sleep? Just wear headphones. Don't worry about the light, I answer frankly. The female ghost nods and suddenly disappears from the window. Then her figure appears on the screen, almost merging with the movie scene. At the same time, the sound of the computer speaker mutes and the light on the screen dim. Impressive. As expected of a female ghost, I don't know why, but I feel that my fear of ghosts is decreasing. Thinking back to when I was young, I was often scared out of my wits by horror movies. Yet, I couldn't help but secretly watch them, feeling both pain and happiness. I get up, switch off the light in the room, climb into bed, pull the duvet over me and drape it over my chest. I close my eyes as I prepare to sleep. Vaguely, I feel like V's forgotten something. A minute later, I snap awake. I open my mouth and say, good night. As a successor of socialism, I have to be polite even when facing female ghosts. A few seconds later, an ethereal voice reverberates in my ear. Good night. With this done, I begin to sleep with ease. Not long after, I fall into a deep sleep. When I wake up, I realize that the sky is already bright. Sunlight passes through the curtains, scattering across my bed. Out of habit, I laze in bed for a few minutes, and slowly I become conscious. I sit up slowly. Turning my head instinctively, I see that the monitor screen has been it appeared in Roselle's diary too. He even sent out a fleet to search for it, but it was fruitless. Klein squinted his eyes and wondered if he had guessed correctly. He tapped on the edge of the long bronze table with his finger. After 3 taps, he came to a decision. He extended his right hand and touched the illusory crimson star. The cloud of crimson immediately exploded, and the light flowed in like water. Switched off. However, the computer hasn't switched off. It's still blinking red. Did she leave after she was done watching? I gradually recover my memories from last night, like V experienced a clear dream. Shaking my head, I pick up my cell phone to check the time. FCK. I scramble up and dash to the bathroom. I'm almost late. If I were to mess things up, CEO Huang will skin me alive. He only treats pretty girls kindly. At that moment, there's no assassin cult, female ghost, or medium to interfere with my thoughts. For humans, living takes the utmost priority. And the most important thing needed to live is to have money. After 5 minutes, I finish washing up and changing my clothes. I rush downstairs. Here I have to thank my 2 roommates. They always sleep late and wake up late. They don't clash with the time when I need to use the bathroom. They don't delay my getting to work. Peng Deng had said before that the person he rented an apartment within another city would always take hour-long baths in the morning, making him either have to wake up early or bring his toothbrush and towel to the office. I suddenly feel regret when I reach the staircase. I'm an assassin. I could have jumped from the 6th floor. This could have saved me plenty of time. However, there must be a lot of pedestrians outside at this point. If I dare go up the windowsill, they would probably call the cops. That would only waste more time. Without another thought, I jump down the more than 10 steps at a time, allowing me to quickly reach the ground floor. During this process, I even had the time to unlock my phone and hire a car to send me to the airport. I can make a claim for transportation expenses since it's for business. My luck isn't bad. Very soon, someone takes my request. Furthermore, he's nearby. After I rush out of the compound, a white peer-to-peer ride-sharing car stops in front of me in less than a minute. Perfect. As I heave a sigh of relief, I pull the door open and climb in. Airport? Okay. The driver is wearing a mask and has no habit of striking up a conversation. This is what I like. Just like I like having a mute for my haircuts. I glance at my phone again. After confirming that I still have time even if I encounter a traffic jam, I call the chauffeur and confirm that he's on his way to the airport. This driver isn't part of our company. He's from the local office branch that the foreign VIP is part of. In other words, there's no need for me to pick up Mr. Zarathustra, as his own employee will be responsible for it. However, CEO Huang still sent me to receive him to show his sincerity. After making sure that everything is fine, I start using my phone. In the process, I see a joke post. Why is the person I'm seeing suddenly ignoring me? She insisted on going to my house to watch a movie yesterday. I still had to wake up early for work, so I got her to sit by the bed and watch it alone. Heh, I mocked this guy and checked the replies. About an hour later, the car arrives at the airport. Thankfully, I'm still early. I breathe a sigh of relief and give the driver a 5-star rating. Then I open the flight schedule and confirm the arrival time. An H6567 landed at the alternate airport, Ningbai Airport, due to an engine malfunction. Holy SHT, is this for real? I quickly call the other party's chauffeur. Hey, there's a problem with the flight. It was redirected to Ningbai. TLL, immediately give Mr. Zarathustra a call and confirm if he will immediately make a domestic transfer or if he will come by high-speed rail. Or whether we should wait for tomorrow, the chauffeur says rather calmly. Okay, where are you? I'll come and meet you first. I'm having a headache just thinking that I might have to wait at the airport for a few more hours. After asking for the location of the car park, I walk all the way there and find the chauffeur. This driver is a foreigner with black hair and blue eyes. He had a mustache that isn't too thick, and he looks rather handsome. Hello. How do I address you? I ask as I approach. Previously, old AI only gave me a number and a Chinese name. Now, I would like to call him by his actual name. Only the driver nods and says, Mr. Zarathustra has already bought a ticket that will fly off in an hour. He will be here very soon. Please inform CEO Huang about the developments. Okay. I stifle my inner groan. This means that I might have to stay at the airport until noon. The chauffeur continues, my name is Risego. Team a staff member from the Mr. Company. Your Chinese is very good. Which country are you from? I casually compliment as I comfort myself. France, Risego smiles and replies.